on the HTC is excellent. It is, of course, running Windows Phone Mango, so it's extremely fast and snappy, and it has multitasking, and is overall a great interface, definitely comparable to the iPhone, and it's definitely as smooth. That's the biggest difference there. Android phones, they can be laggy, of course, and they also can be unreliable with updates, but the Windows Phone is silky smooth and runs perfectly, and updates actually are released to basically all the devices. And in addition to the default Windows Phone Mango on the phone, there's also a bunch of HTC apps that they include. Like, you can actually use a flashlight on the phone, whereas Samsung, they usually don't have a flashlight, so you can't use the back LCD as a flashlight. HTC releases a free flashlight app that lets you use that LCD. As you can see, it's pretty bright. It's not as bright as the HT7's dual LED, since this is only a single one, but it's a nice difference. And there's also auto flash modes and a bunch of other different things you can play around with that application. There's also the HTC Hub, HTC Watch, locations, connected media for streaming DLNA media, the Tango video calling app, which is really available for all Windows Phone smartphones, but HTC has their version there. Photo enhancer if you want to touch up some of your photos. A converter to convert numbers really quickly, which is really helpful. All these are free, by the way. No need to pay for anything. A notes app, a lists app, HTC calculator, which that one's kind of useless because the Windows Phone calculator is already pretty good. But overall, there's a lot more stuff that HTC adds to the phone. And inside the camera app, you also have those modes that we demoed, like panoramic and burst mode. And the camera actually has face recognition, so it'll automatically focus on people's faces too, which isn't built into Windows Phone. That's something HTC added. So overall, there's a lot of huge software benefits there. And the battery life is also a ton better thanks to the new CPU processor. So it's running the 2nd generation Snapdragon processor, and it is only at 1.0 gigahertz, which is slower than some of the new ones, but the battery life is exceptional. It's also got a 1520 mAh battery that's built in. It isn't removable since the phone has a solid aluminum body, but it lasts a lot longer than other phones would. I compared the battery life to the HT7, and I did that through 2 different battery tests. The first, I started playing music with the phone in airplane mode and with the volume set to 15 out of 30 using the headphones instead of the speakers, and I turned off the screen and played music for 2 hours and checked the battery life after that, starting at 100% of course, and then it drained to whatever amount. And then I did that with the HTC Radar too. And then I found these results. So after 2 hours of playing music on the HT7, the battery was at 92%. So if we take that, that means it drained 8% of the battery while playing music for the time span of 2 hours. So we can set that equal to 100% of the battery over X hours, and then find that the battery lasted 100% divided by 8% times 2 hours. So the battery would technically last 100 divided by 8 times 2. 25 hours playing music in airplane mode. Now in minutes, 25 hours would be 1,500 minutes. So we can compare that 1,500 minutes with the battery size of the HD7, which is 1,300 mAh. And so we find that ratio tells us that the battery will last 1.15 minutes per 1 mAh of battery. So if we do the same calculations on the Radar, which only drained at 99% of the battery, then we find that it actually lasts 7.89 minutes per 1 mAh of battery. So that puts it in comparison with the battery sizes, because as you see, the Radar does have a larger battery, but when we factor in this, the battery size doesn't matter anymore, and it shows that the new Snapdragon processor actually has a big increase on battery life. That's basically 7 times the amount of battery life. 1 minute, 7 minutes. 200 hours of music playing versus 25 hours. Pretty incredible. Then I also did a video test where I played the exact same video on both phones for 1 hour with the screen brightness set to medium, the volume set to 30 through the headphones, and both phones in airplane mode. Then, if we look at our video test, where we first tested the HT7 and we played a video with the brightness set to medium and the phone in airplane mode, just like the music, and it was through headphones, of course, with the volume at 30, and we found that the HT7, after 1 hour, went down to 81% of the battery. So if we set up the ratio, we find that the HT7 would last about 5.26 hours on its battery. And the Radar only drained to 90% of its battery, so that means that it would last 10 hours. So when we factor in the actual battery sizes, we have the HT7 at 5.26 hours over 1300 mAh, and the Radar at 10 over 1600. So if we equalize those fractions there, then we have the HT7, if it had the same size battery, it should theoretically last 6.47 hours. Whereas the Radar will still last 10 hours. So it's not nearly the same huge difference as the music, but considering that it's playing a video, that is a lot more time. So it's definitely a big improvement, and the SLCD screen might help with that too. And yes, the Radar does have a smaller screen, but that difference probably isn't that significant. So with the improved battery life and all the great features of Windows Phone, this phone is a great choice for anyone who's looking for a phone that's simple, easy to use, yet has tons of apps and games and a bunch of things that you could want. If you're a superpower user, then you might have fun with Android because you can customize it like crazy. But if you're just a normal person who needs to use their phone for actual work, Windows Phone is definitely up there. You got Office Live and a bunch of other things to help you through everything. So that concludes our 4-part review on the HTC Radar. In the next few days, we'll combine all the parts of the review and add an overview section in case you want to watch everything at once. Overall, it is a great phone, and it's not the best, but it's pretty dang good, and I'd recommend you check it out. Stay tuned to WM Power User for the upcoming full review.